Hello everyone and welcome to our series on science and technology. This is our second lecture on intellectual property right. In the previous lecture we have seen some basics and the importance of IPR and briefly we saw the perspective, right. In this lecture we are going to focus on the policies, more on the policy, that is the national IPR policy, and we will see few things related to policies. In the previous session we have also seen briefly, but we understood more about IPR, what its importance is, then what are the different types that are prevalent in India. Let's start directly with the national IPR policy 2016. So, as I've explained before, IPR, intellectual property rights, the rights part is quite important to help and protect the interest of a creator. All right, and this will also encourage more innovation. In the end, the goal is to enhance human life. That means by innovation, by creating new products, by creating new processes, people want to improve human life. And if we protect this innovation, the spirit of innovation, the spirit of inventing new things, we need good IPR policies. So rules are not just important like this IPR rule. These are just not important for an individual, but for the whole humanity. In the end, innovation is helping improving the quality of life of humankind, right? So this is the perspective behind creating this policy. Now, the official tagline or the slogan of this policy is Creative India and Innovative India. Now, we have to put this spirit of being creative and being innovative in Make in India, in Digital India, in smart cities, in skilled India. So, we have to basically, this is a perspective that I am giving you, that you have to apply this slogan of being creative and innovative to all these spheres that are there in India, right? So in one line, if we want to summarize things, is we want to capture the spirit of intellectual property stimulated growth. Now this is important because as I've told you that there are a lot of problems which India will be facing in the coming time, like mainly because of climate change and population issues. So these things will need special interventions, new innovations, new creative spirit that should flow, especially in social entrepreneurship, right? And in population control, in food security, and so on. So IP stimulated growth. This is a good keyword which you can remember. So we need to capture the spirit of IP stimulated growth. Growth will come, but it should also come from intellectual property stimulated innovation. So I hope you understand the background now regarding the IPR. And of course, to stimulate the uh, IP related growth, IP led growth, we need obviously a good policy. So the aim of this policy is to basically act as a catalyst and improve India's economic growth, right? But balancing innovation and public interest. That is the important part. It needs to, of course, protect the entrepreneurial spirit or innovation spirit, but also needs to balance it with needs of the society. Now, Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade is the nodal agency that is going to take care of all the implementation. There is a department under DPIIT, DPIIT, that is CPAM. CPAM stands for Cell for IPR Promotion and Management. All right. So CPAM is a body which was created under erstwhile DIP, which is now renamed to DPIIT. So it is a professional body created under the DPIIT basically right now. It is basically an organization or a body which totally focuses on IPR related issues. All right. Now there have been 7 objectives in the policy. Now CPAM implements them in the full force. So Union government approved the National IPR Policy 2016 to promote IP regime. I am just summarizing, and to help creativity and entrepreneurship in India. Okay. This is one of the first, like one of the kind policy in India, where it seeks to strengthen the legislative part, the legal part of IPR, and of course create mechanisms so that IPR rules are implemented. All right. Basically, what is the role now? Let's come to the role. This policy will be renewed every 5 years, in consultation with all the stakeholders. So this is good that it will be consulted. It will not be a government only document. The body or the policy will give the advice to incentivize and encourage research and development. It will advise how to protect small investors. It will create the awareness about importance of IPR as an economic tool. All right. This small inventors, especially in MSME sector and informal or unorganized sector, is very important. Now this policy is in compliance with TRIPS. We have talked about TRIPS in the previous lecture. All right. And of course, this policy wants to boost Make in India, Digital India, Smart Cities, Skill India. All right. So do remember this. So this is how it sits. This is the perspective. In main examination, you should have the bigger picture, not very depth. You don't need to know very deep things, but you need to know in what context the policy was created. Of course, everybody will read the aim, nodal agency, right, the role, but what about the context? Like in what environment or in what is the need of all this? Now, what are the objectives? Pretty simple. Of course, create awareness about IPR by outreaching and promotion. That means you create promotion or you create awareness by using social media, by using government publications regarding the benefits of IPR. Then generation of IPRs. Of course, the policy wants to stimulate that more and more intellectual property rights should be generated. Legal and legislative framework. Of course, I've talked about this, that the policy aims to create a ecosystem in which laws are enforced and everybody is protected. Then administration and management. This means what? This basically means that whatever the way offices function, or however, basically you have seen government offices, right? So this policy wants to modernize the way government offices function with regards to IPR. That means more computerization, digitization, less human interference, and so on. Commercialization of IPRs. This basically means that the IPR should be converted into a product as much as it can be, so that it can be basically the inventor gets some profit. All right. Basically, the property rights, the intellectual property, should be converted into a sellable product and commercialized. Enforcement and adjudication. Basically, this means that if somebody steals somebody's IPR or somebody breaks the law, then proper enforcement should be there of the rules, and adjudication should be there so that everybody gets justice. Human capital development. You break this down. Human capital. That means creating resourceful human employees. So you need to develop them how? Basically simple, by giving them research or you can say by teaching them about IPR, right? By creating a workforce that can help implement all the laws and so on. Now, of course, this policy is not perfect. All right. One thing you should remember, that although we have talked about the IPR policy and its need and all that, but to create an environment of creativity, and innovation, we need much more than just a policy. All right. I'll repeat it again. To have an environment of creativity and innovation, we need more than just IPR or more than just a policy on IPR. So what are the issues with this policy? First is, this is basically based on premise or assumption that more IPR means more innovation. But there is no such proof or no such data that proves this linkages. Second is emphasis on commercialization. All right. Basically, this means that if somebody creates a product, now that product has been patented. Now a small startup or a MSME company cannot use that product because now that product is patented. So they will have to pay more to the small companies or the small startups would have to pay more for the product. So this will act as a deterrent. Just imagine that you are trying to produce something which is from recycled plastic, or you're trying to create a recyclable plastic. But you have an idea, of course, you cannot do the research. You have an idea that you can do this. You have created it in your lab, but somebody else has already patented it, right? And you did not know, and this happens. So your product gone down the drain, and of course you cannot produce it because somebody else has patented that product. So such things will create a problem for small innovators, small companies, and small startups. This policy misses out on mechanism to protect the traditional knowledge, which is continuously being exploited by the outsiders. Although yes, traditional knowledge digital library is there, but still this issue remains. In the policy it is not addressed. So that is a issue because it's a national level policy. Then openness and sharing and access to knowledge have been given a backseat in the policy document. So basically these are the criticisms, and I hope the fourth point is quite clear. Okay. Basically this means that the data that is taken from local resources like from tribals or traditional knowledge that is taken, people are not given the proper benefit of that. All right. And there are many knowledge, there is many a knowledge which remains hidden, and this policy does not talk about that also. All right. Now let us see some other things that have been done by the government of India to basically streamline the whole process of intellectual property rights. The procedures have been made quite simpler now and easier and basically user friendly by amending many rules such as patent rules 2016 or amendment rules and trademark amendment rules 2017. We don't need to go in depth in all this. You can just say that whatever I just dictated, no, that is the crux of this. But of course, for your benefit, let us just try to understand what they have done. So there are timelines imposed. Startups 80% rebate in fee. Expedited examination on certain grounds. That means if your let's say your patent or the application that you have filed, that is quite urgent. Let's say it's for medical reasons, so it will be expedited. Refund of fee and withdrawal of application is there. Hearing through video conferencing. So see, this thing you can use in any answer. If there is any if in mains any suggestion is asked to you or from you regarding how to improve any policy implementation, you can write these points. I'm seriously telling you, this is how you create a general answer which you can write anytime if you are stuck. Or this is a framework. How? Speedy disposal. This can be done in cases like in any judicial based answer. Startups 80% rebate in fee. You can say this in any answer on how to promote entrepreneurship. Expedited examination on certain grounds. This you can also say that for startups, if they are very small, they can have expedited examination. Refund of fee and withdrawal of application. This you can apply to any startup. Hearing through video conferencing. This can be done for judicial purposes also and for startups also, and even telemedicine. So this is how you can use some points at some places. Try to make up frameworks of your own like this. Then there are trademark amendment rules. They provide for trademark forms. The forms you have to fill, they have been reduced from 74 to 8. Such a huge and drastic improvement. Online filing fee 10% lower. Okay. Then physical, so as to promote digital India. Reduction in fee for individual, startup, small enterprises, expedited examination extended up to registration stage, service documents through electronic means. So there is not much to explain in this, hence I just read them. So I hope you understand now. This patent amendment rules are quite important. All right, let's move ahead. What is the stand of the Indian government? See, there are some issues with relate to the Indian patent scenario, mainly from USA, because of compulsory licensing, evergreening. All these things have, basically pinched USA. So what happens is USA releases a special 301 report. Now, in this report, the USA tries to basically pressure. It tries to create pressure on countries to enhance the IPR regime beyond the WTO TRIPS. I hope you get this statement. See, the first point I'm talking about, that India does not recognize the unilateral measures. Now, one of the unilateral measures is this US Special 301 report. Now, this report tries to create a pressure on countries to have the IPR regime harder than the TRIPS. Now, this is done so that the developing countries cannot create things like compulsory licensing, right? And basically, if the IPR regime is stronger than TRIPS, it will benefit the first world developed companies. So India has said that it will not undertake any commitment beyond TRIPS. This is the stand. All right. So steps taken. What are the steps taken? IPR policy that was released in 2016. It will ensure that there are no changes made in the section 3D as well as the compulsory licensing. We have talked about both the things, evergreening and compulsory licensing. Now, compulsory and licensing and section 3D, these are TRIPS compliant. Always remember that it is always compliant. We are not breaking any international laws of WTO. All right. So, of course, with the rise of knowledge economy in India, IPR regime does needs to be updated, but this is not something which will be done according to what USA tells India. All right. So, and another thing that USA does is they have a US Chamber of Commerce. They publish a report called Global Intellectual Property Center. Sorry, the group is Global Intellectual Property Center. They publish a ranking, IPR ranking. We have talked about this ranking. Now, in that also they give India a low rank. As far as I remember, I think it was 40 out of 53. I might be wrong here. Please do check about this. So they are trying to put pressure on India through these two things, 301 report and the IPR index. So all this they are doing. Another thing, in 301 report, they have put India under the priority watch list. Priority watch list. So this is again something they are trying to put pressure on India to change our regime according to their needs. So this is again something very unethical, but again, this is how world works. So this is the stand of Indian government, which you needed to know. So Creative India, just summarizing things, Creative India, Innovative India. It is time for Indians to take up their rightful place in the global arena of creativity and innovation, not only as creator and innovators, but also as owners of IP. So this means that we should be creating intellectual property and we should creating more patents. We should not just create. This means that it's okay to create, it's good to create, but you should also be owner of that creation. Right? So for that you have to register, you have to become aware of IP laws and so on. Now this is something which I have picked up from government sources, that IP innovation for Industry 4.0. We'll study about Industry 4.0. Basically, it means artificial intelligence and intelligent machines in the industry. All right. So you can see this next generation IP system adapted to digitization and networking. Some things you might not just understand. So whenever we are reading about this artificial intelligence, you will understand it then. IP management geared towards open innovation, industry academia and inter-industry collaboration, new copyright system for artificial intelligence and digital network activity. So all these things basically means that the coming innovation, listen carefully, coming innovation in the IT industry will be linked to innovation in intellectual property working. So whatever new products will be created in Industry 4.0, they will be supported with better intellectual property rights like this. So relating these two sectors. All right. So what is the way forward? Because in every answer, if you are giving some of the issues, you should always end with some solutions. So IPR policy must be backed up with strong research, because like I said in this point, there is little research that more IP leads to more innovation, more IPR. Now, openness, sharing, and access to knowledge, this was not addressed, it should be addressed. Innovation ecosystem must be carried forward. Just the government should not just focus on IPR, they should also focus on these things: Atal Innovation Mission, Startup India. Now, for IPR regime to work properly, we need people who can implement the rules. So such technical people are not yet fully available. Now the awareness should go beyond formal institutions. Like in school it should be also taught, in colleges also it should be taught. Like people are not taught about taxation and something related in the school, right? Science people are not taught about this, but everybody will work in at some point of time. So basic things about taxation should be taught in the school itself, or how to save money and so on. So a lot of innovation happens in rural areas. They must be educated. This is very important, because people there were many people who invented few technological things during COVID. There was an example of a shopkeeper who created a method in which he used to press a button, and the bucket or the basket used to go to the customer directly, who was 10 feet away, and then he would press another button and the basket would come back. So such things are available in the country. And then there is also an example of a person who has created a machine for climbing trees to for that nariyal, right, for coconut water. So such things are there, and these people are not aware that they can actually patent it and then use it for themselves. Special court should be set up in important innovation hubs. This is again a very good suggestion, right? Let's move ahead. What are the other measures to protect intellectual property in India? All the acts that we have talked about: IPR policy, trademark and patent rules, I have discussed those. Then TRIPS compliance. When you are compliant to TRIPS, you are already protected by a lot of things. Once this compliance is ensured, things are of international standard. So what is the conclusion? Now, to realize the twin dreams of Innovate India and Make in India, the government needs to obviously develop a system in which intellectual property is thriving. That means people are not scared to research, people have incentive to research, and people are aware of the benefit of doing the research. Now, Make in India cannot survive by itself. It needs something called as Create in India, in which people are promoted, people are incentivized to create in India rather than going out and creating there. So like that, this is why I said that intellectual property is not the only thing that will ensure innovation. These things will also, the supporting things like Make in India, like Create in India, right? Only IP, only strict rules about IP or implementation of IP rules is not going to help. You need to have people that will be happy to research. Next, we come to a very important thing, new term, patent pooling. So, this is a coronavirus related update. So, it's important to understand. Patent pooling, basically, these are defined as some agreements between two or more patent holders. All right. Now, why? Let me give you an example. Suppose you have a patent which relates to some vaccine. I have a patent which relates to production, right? So we will come together and we will produce the vaccine from my method and we'll produce your vaccine. So this is patent pooling. Okay. So this is coming up during the pandemic also. So it's important to discuss. Now, generally, basically, what happens is party A will have some patent, party B will have some patent, and they will mix those patents to produce the product. Like a party A has the patent for vaccine, party B has for the process. Okay. Now, why was this in news? Because Costa Rica suggested that we need to pool the patents for fighting the pandemic, because not every country can afford the research, not every country has big pharmaceutical companies. So the licenses that everybody has, the big pharma and the big companies, big countries, they can pool it, like bring it together. All right, so that every country benefits, because Corona or COVID-19 has affected smaller countries disproportionately. All right. So, meaning of patent pool I've already explained. Now, this was utilized. One of the earliest example is sewing machine combination. Like patent were combined to create the sewing machine in 1856. So, this idea is not a new idea, but again, it has come up in news because of COVID. All right. So, what Costa Rica has said is that licenses for producing various things need to be given so that every country benefits, especially countries with less economic resources, because it is affecting everybody. It's not like it is not affecting the smaller countries. Now, how does it work? Now, such pools are basically managed by a central agency. All right, and the patents which become part of the pool are given as licenses. All right, some pools will all have some royalty rate. All right, so anyone who wants to get these licenses, they will just pay for it, like you're buying a product. Okay, now how this happens? See, there are three patent holders, for example. All right, now these patents will be combined, and one person, one you can say some agency will be handling this. So people will contact this agency, and then people, like let's say for example medicine. So we are creating a pool for a medicine. Now generic manufacturers and product developers will pay some royalties which will go directly to the patent holder via the agency, and then they can manufacture that. They don't so what happens is there comes a layer of some agency, and the person or the people who want the license, they will contact the agency and not the patent holders. All right, and this has been done with people drugs for HIV and hep C or tuberculosis. So this is how it works. Patents are pooled agents with an agency. Now that agency gives out the licenses. It monitors the licenses, whosoever is producing, if everybody is paying them or not, and so on. So such pools are actually there in these standard essential medicines like HIV, hep C, and tuberculosis. Okay. What are the benefits? Of course, it leads to innovation because not everybody can afford to do clinical trials, not everybody can afford to do the research. So, it leads to innovation. I can utilize the data that you might have used. So, that will help me do further research. Also, it leads to lower transaction costs. So, in the end, you need to understand that innovation that happens will be less, you can say, or just a second. So, innovation that will happen, it will lead to less legal issues in this way. All right. So, what are the examples? A lot of examples. Okay. CTAP, the COVID-19 Technology Access Pool, it is hosted by WHO. GI said it is promoting rapid sharing of data from all influenza viruses and the coronavirus causing COVID-19. TRIPS, it also has a pool. Medicine patent pool, this was what we were discussing here. This is medicines patent pool under a UN agency. Then Nagoya Protocol under CBD. This is also a patent pool. Now CBD protocol, this last one requires that all the parties have to give access and benefits whenever they use some local resource. All right. Now what about India and patent pooling? Although this concept is new for India, all right, but it will help us in creating affordable healthcare. Now Indian Patent Act does not have any provisions related to patent pool or any guideline, but it's like it does not stop it also. You can do it. It's not illegal. It's not termed illegal in the law. Basically, there is no mention of such thing because it's a fairly new concept. All right. So Government of India can create a pool under IPA, but patent pooling is viewed as a negative practice by Competitions Act 2002. So laws need to be updated. So what is the way forward in this regarding patent pooling? First of all, we need to create a pool and we need to create licenses that will ensure that the manufacturers across the world, all right, across the world, I'm not talking about India, just across the world, have access to the COVID vaccine. Recently, there have been shortages. I'm talking about first week of April, all right, especially in Maharashtra. Okay, so why it should be done? First reason I've given you. Second is that pooling of resources is in line with Doha Declaration, which is the part of TRIPS. So again, it can be done. It is not violating any international declaration. Okay. So to protect public health, patent pools can be created and they are already created. Like I've given you an example, which is under UN, United Nations. All right. So PPP can also be scaled up. Creation of PPP pandemic patent pool, right? So PPP and PPP. Okay. So this can be done and this should be done. It is not be yet being done in like with every country, but yes, few examples two examples I've given you. GI said and CTAP. These are for COVID-19 only. So please remember this, that patent pooling is quite an important thing. It will help in innovation. It will help in medicine reaching the, let's say, less rich countries. All right. Now we come to another important law, protection of plant varieties and farmers' right. We'll just discuss this briefly. It is not that important, but it was in news, so we should know about it. Now, why was it in news? See, the PepsiCo, the company, they sued 9 farmers in Gujarat for alleged infringement of law on the grounds that they were illegally growing FC5 potato variety. No need to remember this, but you can just remember that a company sued farmers in Gujarat, okay, for on alleged infringement because these potatoes were used by the company to create Lay's chips. Lay's chips. All right, but this actually was the company faced a lot of backlash because India's law protection of plant varieties and farmer rights. This act spells out the right of farmers with respect to breeders. All right, which resulted in pushback for PepsiCo and they withdrew the case. So that is why it was in news and we need to just know about it. Now, where does this law come from? Like, so the TRIPS agreement, under it Article 27, subclause 3, it says that countries should create their own law, all right, or follow the Convention of International Union for Protection of New Varieties of Plants, which is UPOV. So what India did, India formed their own law. And why we are reading about this? Because this law is the only law in the whole world that has IPR legislation, which grants intellectual property rights not only to the plant breeders but also to the farmers who are protecting new and their own varieties. Alright, so this is a very unique law that is there in the world. Okay, so we have again created a law which is TRIPS compliant. So that is why India or basically PepsiCo took the case back. Now, why? What is the objective of this law? Basically, it wants to recognize and protect the rights of the farmers. What sort of rights? Because farmers also breed new plants, they also create new varieties. So plants should be given, sorry, the farmers should be given right over their creations. Second is to facilitate the growth of seed industry, which is very important part in the agriculture industry. Without new seeds, we cannot create new productive products. Finally, to accelerate agricultural development in the country, this is quite simple. All right, because if you protect the new varieties and the new breeders, they will create India specific seeds, right? Private sector will also start researching. Private sector will also see that, okay, we have a law which protects everybody. So we should also invest. So basically new plant varieties, productivity and protecting the right of farmers. Now, what is the impact? It has increased breeding activities. It has improved and given us more availability with regards to improved varieties, diversification of breeders, private breeders, researchers, increase the number of new varieties. Okay, from people from foreign countries have also started coming and researching in India, encouraging the development of new industry competitiveness in foreign markets because now our seeds are improving. Then finally, improved access to foreign plant varieties and enhanced domestic breeding programs. So such a benefit is there of a law. If a proper law is introduced, it will help in creating a lot of activities locally, domestically. Even people from outside will come. All right. So in all, a good law. Finally, we come to the last topic, draft seeds bill. Now, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare placed the revised draft bill 2019 in public domain and they are asking for suggestions. Now, why this was introduced? Because Indian seeds market has reached a value of $4 billion in 2018, and basically India is the fifth largest market in the world, seed market. Like so much seeds are utilized in India. Now the Seed Act, all right, which was introduced in 1966, it's too old and not enough for current times for like innovations that are going on in the seed sector, then entry of private sector, because at that time in 1966 of course private sector was not that much prevalent, right? Then new seeds varieties are coming and we are importing also. So a lot of players have come up in the country, so we need new law for this. So this is why we have introduced this. And please remember, it will replace the Seeds Act 1966, the Plant Variety Act which we just read about, and Seeds Control Order 1983. So all in all, an important bill to know about whenever it is introduced in the parliament and whenever it is passed, please do read about it from the current affairs. All right, thank you everybody. That is all for this lecture. We'll see you in next lecture. This will be the IPR section is over in this lecture, right? So if there is anything, any doubt, please let us know. we'll be happy to resolve it for you. All right. See you in the next lecture. Till then, bye bye. Take care and do revise. Lot of new concepts were discussed in the last 2 lectures. It is imperative that you revise. Okay, chalo. See you. Bye.